I've let this color dry a little bit in between the last video and now. And I'm ready to start painting some of my other areas. So just like before, I'm going to make sure my brush is all clean and I've got water on it. And I'm going to choose the next part. If you're having trouble staying inside of the lines when you paint, I'll give you a hint. The tip of the brush is pointy. If I hold my brush straight up and down, okay, I'll be using just the point of the brush when I paint. If I hold it sideways like this, the way I do a pencil, then all of this part will be touching the paper. So it's going to be flat and you'll have more area touching the paper. So if you have a large area that you're painting and you paint like this, okay, you'll get more area or more of your brush touching the paper. But if you paint with it straight up and down, you'll just get the tip of your brush touching the paper. Okay, next part I'm doing is right here. I'm painting it with my water. And on Georgia O'Keeffe's picture, that whole part is pretty light. So I'm just going to put a little bit of red on my brush. Oh, not quite enough. And that red will spread out in there. Okay, next one on this side. I'm painting it with water. And on hers, the top edge of that petal is darker, and the left side of it is darker, but the right side is light. So that's what I'm going to do. The top edge is darker, and the left side is darker. So I had a lot of paint on my brush, then I wash it off. And just paint a lighter color on the other side. And since my paper is more vertical, it's going to tend to spread down more. But if your paper is flat, on a flat surface, it won't spread as much. Okay, next I'm going to do this part of the petal here. And that's all pretty light. There's just a little bit of dark on there. I paint it with my water first. Okay, then I have just a little bit of red on my brush. And a spot that has just a little bit more red right there. Mine is going to run a bit because of the way my paper is vertical. Okay, next I will do the petal on the right side. And you can see that it's mostly light, but this part here that's curling up, that part is dark. So lighter, darker. I'm painting it all with water. Now that part was dark, so I put a lot on. And this part is light, so I wash off my brush some. Need a little bit more. Okay, I'm going to do the petal on the left side. And that one you can see there's a lot more dark on that one. There's a little bit of light around on the left edge of the petal, but on the right side that petal is all dark. I'm painting with my water again. Okay, now I've got my red. Oh, there's lots of red on my brush. And if I'm at a little corner, I have to be really slow and careful when I paint. If I'm in the middle part here, I don't have to be so slow. I can paint a little faster because I don't have to worry about running into the edge of something. Okay, so that part is all dark, and now I'm going to take some of the red off of my brush, so I just have a little bit of red left. So that the left side of that petal is lighter. Okay, you can see there's one more petal, the one here on the bottom. And that one has a lot of dark red on it as well. All of this part is dark. And underneath here it's dark. There's a little bit of light right here on the left middle side of it. I've got my brush all clean. It's got water on it. I paint it with my water. I'm using the tip of my brush in that little skinny part. Okay, now I've got my red. Ooh, it's getting runny. Okay, that whole part is dark, and then underneath here is dark. Okay, this last part here is lighter. Just a little bit of red to finish it off. Now there's one more part we did not paint yet, which is the middle of the flower. And you can see that it's black and there's just a little bit of green on the part that's in the very center of the flower. And since it's tiny, I have to make sure that I use just the pointy part of my brush. So I'm going to be holding my brush up and down when I paint with it. I'll put a little bit of green on my brush. And one thing that can help if I'm painting a really tiny part is if I hold my brush closer to the end, not all the way at the end like this, right up by the bristles, because that's going to make my fingers messy, but right about here. So it's close to the end, but not all the way at the end. That's going to give me control for tiny, tiny movements. I'm holding my brush straight up and down, perpendicular to the paper, and just paint in the little tiny spaces. Okay, now I wash my brush again. I'm getting my black on my brush. Okay, I'm holding it close to the end of the brush again, and I've got it pointed so that it's straight up and down, and carefully paint inside the part that's black. Alright, our painting is complete.